In this video, we're checking out some amazing survivors from the Chevys and the Smokies event in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. First on my list is this 1968 Camaro Super Sport. Now this thing is a survivor from the 80s. This has got an 80s paint job on it. This is what you'd consider a street machine. It's got Krager wheels on it front and back. It's got lots of cool details as far as the interior goes, but it's the paint job that really got my attention. This candy paint with all these custom stripes and custom circles with airbrush work and just really cool details, that really seals the deal for me. This thing is so cool. And as I was looking, I see this was originally painted by Buddy Kramer out of Maryland in the 1980s, and he used acrylic lacquer with clear coat. It's a House of Color Regal Blue Fire Mist. And all of these custom stripes, I mean, this is hours and hours of really tough work trying to make all of this stuff symmetrical and make it look cool. And I really love the use of color on this because it's not outrageously bright and vivid. It's got a really cool mix of colors that goes well with the interior. It has a custom interior as well using factory buckets, but you can see it's got custom inserts with buttons and the blue material. Then of course it's got a bright blue steering wheel, looks like a Hearst shifter sticking up out of there, and some other period correct components from the 1980s. You'll also notice the glass etching in the back glass. That was a really popular thing in the 1980s. Just another little custom detail that people would add to their cars. This car is currently owned by Julie Higgins, who is proud to display it with this original paint job that was done about 40 years ago. So this thing has got a lot of history. It's got a really neat setup. I didn't get to see under the hood, but it says it's got a small block backed by a Doug Nash 5-speed. So this thing probably hits the road pretty good. I love the Krager wheels and the big M&H tires on the back. It's got the perfect 80s stance that reminds me of the old days in Pigeon Forge when we used to go up to the rod run and see cars like this on a regular basis. Now this one gets an honorable mention because the car itself probably isn't a survivor. It looks like it's been restored, but what's really rare and interesting and definitely counts as a survivor is the clear bubble top roof. Now this is one of only 15 to 25 built ever. And I would imagine as far as what exists today, there's got to be less than 10. So this is an extremely rare piece, really cool to see this. And yes, I consider this a survivor because most of these things probably didn't make it. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you see more of my videos in the future. Next up is a 1968 Chevelle Super Sport 396. And this is a true survivor with only 37,000 miles on it. And that Grecian green paint is the original lacquer paint that was applied back in 1967 when this thing was built. This is a factory 396 big block. It's got an automatic transmission, air conditioning, power brakes, power steering, bucket seats in the console, deluxe wheel coverage, which is a cool little option, and red line tires. This thing is about as original as you can get. It's got a little bit of wear and tear on the interior, but the rest of this thing is very presentable considering its age. Next, we've got another green Chevelle, this time mountain green 1967 SS 396. Now this one even has its original tires on it. Look at these. These are Firestone wide oval tires with the white wall way out to the outside. That's not reproduced anymore, and check this out. This thing has 12,000 miles on it. This one's a 4-speed car with a bench seat, an unusual pairing of options. But this car has extremely nice paint, extremely nice details. This has obviously been kept away for a long, long time. Now this is a cool one. This is a 1967 Corvette coupe, and even though it doesn't have any extremely rare options, it's just a 300 horse 327, nothing really unusual. You'll see it does have air conditioning. But the cool thing about this car is that old paint, the old interior, the old everything. This is an unrestored car with over 250,000 miles on it. This is an unbelievably well-kept car. Even though the paint's rough on it, even though it is aged, this car is in excellent condition, and it's the highest mileage 67 known to exist. Check this thing out. This is an old school drag car from the 80s. This is a 67 Camaro. You can see the lettering on there. That is totally 80s. The striping, just a lot of great old school details. And this is still a functional car. This thing has the right look and it still has performance left in it, but you can see lots of great details, and there's a lot of history here. We look around on the car, there's some framed pictures hanging out here for everybody to see from Bristol, from all sorts of tracks all around the Southeast. And yes, this thing launched with the wheels in the air back in the day. And you can see written on the windshield 622, that's getting it pretty good in the 8th mile for a door car. And you can even see this is an IHRA record holder. This car actually set 2 records, one in the quarter mile at Bristol and one in the 8th mile at one of my local tracks, Crossville Dragway, back in 1978. Out back you'll see some old school wheelie bars. You got a parachute back there. Even though this car didn't technically need one with the speeds it was running, it's still cool that it's got it back there. And then looking up on the roof, there's another cool picture of it, and then some cool trophies, including one from 2001. That doesn't seem like that long ago, but that's over 20 years ago. And on the other side of the car, we'll see some more trophies, including 1977 Winston Nationals at Atlanta Dragway, and this really cool trophy from the Sundrop Spring Nationals at Bristol International Dragway. This car has an old Jones cable drive tack in it. It's got all sorts of old school components from the 70s and 80s, and I really love these old school weld wheels. Now these were really popular in the 80s and 90s, but check out those center caps. Those are the original weld wheel center caps from way back in the day. You gotta love that flying high lettering, that screams 1980s. And if you get a closer look at the paint, you'll see that it's got a little bit of age on it. It's starting to come apart a little bit, but it still shines up really nice. You can tell that this car has been very well taken care of. And here we have 2 65 Chevelles that are extremely well kept. One in yellow, the other one in black. You can see that the old paint's still shining good. You got deluxe hubcaps on this one with white walls. Little 327 in there, bucket seats. This car is immaculate, considering that it's been together for so long. You can see a little bit of age on the paint as we walk by it, but that black paint still shines up good. All the emblems look great. This is a good looking car. Here's another cool one, a 1967 Chevrolet El Camino. This one's got rally wheels and redline tires, and then under the hood, it's pretty much all original aside from maybe an air cleaner change. This thing has survived a lot of years. All right, here's the Mac Daddy of all survivors. This is a 1965 Chevelle Malibu Super Sport Z16. That Z16 means that this is one of 201 cars built with Chevrolet's 396 cubic inch big block. This is extremely rare to find one of these cars, but it's even more rare to find one in this original state. Because most of these cars, the ones that are still existing, most of them have been restored already. But this one is completely unrestored. You can see the wear and tear on the paint. This car's got dents in it, it's got scratches in it. The paint still shines pretty good, but you can definitely tell this body has had a little bit of damage here and there. And you can see this thing is well documented. This is an incredible car. You can see this thing has power steering and power brakes without single pot master cylinder, and it's got the deluxe wheel covers with gold striped tires. Now, these tires were only available on Corvettes and Z16 Chevelles, an extremely rare piece of history right here. The regal red paint, black vinyl top, and white interior definitely narrows down the production numbers on this thing. This is one of only a handful built like this. Check out this 1963 Corvette. Now this isn't the famous split window coupe. The Roadsters don't get quite as much glory as the split window coupe, but this is still extremely cool. The old black lacquer paint is starting to come apart, but it still shines up so good. But look at all that primer underneath. That is so cool to see this car out and about like this. A lot of Corvette guys don't display their cars in this natural state. They want to have them shiny, and they want to have them really, dressed up with all of the original components, the matching numbers, this and that. This car has a lot of character. You'll see the paint coming apart. You'll see the primer coming out from underneath it. But this is the product of a 60-year-old car that's never been restored. So I think it's super cool that they left it like this. I hope that they don't go back and completely restore this car anytime soon, because this thing has lots of history just like it is. This is my little treasure that I bought from the swap meet. This is a 63 through 67 Corvette hood. It's got a 67 type scoop on it, but I love these little paint details. This is probably something somebody did with a spray can back in the 70s, but I just love it. It gives the hood a lot of character, and it's something I couldn't live without. That's all from the Corvette Expo and Chevy and the Smokies event in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I enjoy these Survivors, and I hope you did too. Thank you for watching.